Hi there, welcome to another presentation of the Sound and Emotions Conference. Today we got Karinna Karsten. Hi, Karinna.
Hello, David. How are
Welcome.
you?
Great, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Karinna is the founder of Relationship AI, the iOS relationship intelligence platform. She's a serial entrepreneur in the relationship technology and wellness fields and passionately cares about people and the planet. She's also an accomplished author and filmmaker. She brings more than a decade of experience, data, and research to the topics of relationships and wellness, creating real-world solutions for individuals, communities, and industries. As a relationship advisor, her clients include global executives, A-list celebrities, and international brands. She appears regularly in major media outlets like Cosmopolitan, Self, Women's Health, iHeartRadio, SiriusXM, and networks including NBC and OK. You can access Karinna's RAI iOS app, media, and book at www.karinnakarsten.com. Karinna is spelled Karinna, and Karsten is Karsten.com. Cool. What have you been up to lately?
Oh, so much, David. It's a beautiful rainy day where I am, and I've just been actually really passionately monitoring but connecting with my friends and colleagues in the Ukraine.
Mhm.
And amazingly, we're able to work almost at full capacity, even though the war is going on there. And so I feel very fortunate to be able to, in some way, support the folks in the Ukraine that are going through such difficulty.
Mhm.
Uh,
Cool. Well, here's the big question I've asked in previous conferences, and that is if you had all the money in the world, what would you do to help people on the planet?
hmm. Well, I don't think you need to have all the money in the world to help people on the planet. I think you can do a lot with what you have. And I feel that I do that with my heart, body, and soul every single day. And how I feel to contribute is through supporting people as well as the planet in developing healthier, more meaningful, more emotionally intelligent relationships. And so I would continue to do that on a bigger level, just expand and accelerate that purpose and that intention so that anyone on the planet could access more relationship health and wellness.
Cool. Well, tell us about yourself and your relationship work.
Thank you. Well, I have always been passionate about and curious to explore relationships, how we love, how we connect, how we communicate, how we share deep intimacy. Um, and I started out. I had the good fortune to live and work around the world in my early 20s. And when I was living in Europe and also in Asia, I found myself very curious about how people connected, how people showed affection to one another in different places. For instance, in Europe, there's much more of a demonstrative show of affection in public. But and in Asia, you found that that was more reserved generally in places like Japan and Tokyo, where I lived. But what I found is behind the doors, that you actually had a whole different type of experience. And Europe could be a little more conservative behind closed doors. And Asia, it could be a little bit more focused on intentionality, on service, on ritual. And so I found those things fascinating, and I committed to come back to the United States and really make relationships and the exploration of relationships my life work. So that's how I started.
When you say behind doors, are you talking about in the bedroom?
Well, it could be in your living room and behind.
So when you say service for the Japanese, tell me how does that manifest in a bedroom?
Well, let's first talk about just the art of getting to know one another and the first blush of courtship, the tea ceremony, having a really intentional tea together can be incredibly romantic and incredibly sexy. So just something like that. And there was an intentionality in different things, how one prepares for a date, or how one executes the experience of being in courtship. Those things were actually much more intentional um, behind the doors. And so I found that very rich. And I've learned from that, and I've brought that into my own work. I've been a filmmaker, so I've covered rituals, and still preparing to do a new film. Covered rituals around Asian intimacy, and I will be working on a film about Polynesian practices of relationships and intimacy that date back thousands of years, because I don't like to just focus on a couple of hundred years. I like to go way back to the origins of how we developed our relationships. So that's a springboard of what I do today as an entrepreneur in wellness and technology.
So, this is about emotions, and maybe we can get into it later, but I imagine the there's two things come to mind. One is the imbalance of male and female in relationships and maybe in different cultures, right? And then the other is all of the stress that goes on, can be quite a lot of emotional stress around relationships,
Yes.
which I mean, goodness gracious, it could be lead to murder, right?
Yes.
Or suicide even. I mean,
Yes.
it's
That's
intense.
true.
It's
That's
one of
true.
our biggest stressors on this planet is really
Absolutely.
relationships not flowing, right?
Mm. Good word, David. Good word,
Mm-hmm.
flowing. And that's
Mm-hmm.
a vibrational word,
Mm-hmm.
currency. Um, that has to do with our own capacity for love and emotional intelligence. Um, but to your question about the dynamics between men and women on the planet, I see it getting better, way better than it has been. But of course, there's still great disparity between the masculine and feminine in terms of uh, the equal balance of pay in the world for similar jobs, being able to for men to be able to take off paternity leave. That happens more so in Scandinavian countries than it does in the US. I mean, there's disparities on both sides. And I think that I've been a huge fan and friend of my mentor, Rion Eisler, who really has spearheaded work around the power of partnership, and how coming into the balance of our masculine and feminine inside of ourselves allows us to actually integrate and more fully experience that in our home life, in our family life, and in our community.
That's interesting because I'm like 75% through a book on sound in relationships, right?
Mm.
And 90% of the book is about how to be whole on your own heart open,
That's it,
and
right?
how you can use sound to get there, right?
Yes.
I mean, because it kind of leads to the next question. What ingredients create a healthy relationship these
So
days?
the healthy relationship really starts with yourself. It's about presence, being present, fully present.
Alpha. Alpha brainwaves.
Alpha brainwaves. I love that.
Uh-huh.
Um, it's about openness, trust, honesty. It's about communication and consistency. It's about self awareness and self confidence. And then ultimately, all of those ingredients open you up to more vibrancy. You feel alive when you cultivate those aspects of yourself and relationship. And that creates this healthy atmosphere, this healthy ecosystem for you to thrive in a relationship.
I just saw on the internet just a few days ago, it was just this little thing of a couple that said that the title was they've never had a fight in 30 years. And I thought, well, what's wrong with them? Right? But it was really cool because number one, they said, okay, how does it work? And they said, well, we do have arguments, but they said the number one thing is realizing that people have valid perspectives other than yours.
Yes. You're not in the relationship in a vacuum. You really are with someone else that has a completely different life experience than you most of the time and has different ways of perceiving reality and and feeling feeling. And so those things are very important to not only understand, but also learn how to have empathy for that other person and their perspective so that you can grow together.
So what if they're okay, let's not fool around. Okay, what if their perspective is controlling you?
Mm. Well, control is really underneath about fear. So I always look at the top line emotion, and I always say that's just the surface. It's like the crust on top of a warm piece of bread. You really have to go, what's underneath the control? Why does someone act out control? Well, there's a lot of fear and insecurity, and it could be about your status in life. That happens so often in domestic violence, domestic affairs, is that a person does not feel autonomous and in control of their own personage in their life, in their job, and so they can't be self-reflective, so they may abuse toxic substances and take it out on their partner. And so that is a super difficult, but that all those fears of your inadequacy and who you are as a person can lead to those dynamics of control and trying to make your partner feel inferior and dominate them. And that requires an enormous amount of therapeutic work to get underneath all of that and work. But there's free resources like this. There's free resources, hotlines, groups that you can seek out in your community to support you and your family.
You know, we've got a whole range. I mean, there's so many people that are working with sound therapy to bring people into this vulnerable state of complete peace and stillness, right? And I think that's instead of focusing on therapy, which can be good, or even using this with a combination of therapy, but to bring people into that place of peace and stillness where there's no need, there's no anxiety, there's no, it's just you are. And then I've actually, okay, so check this out. See what you think about this. There's um, there's, where there's a ceremony that I've done with sound where we actually come together after we've had a discussion or argument, right? And then we actually set sacred space, light candles, play crystal bowls, or just do toning, and really create a beautiful space of connection.
Mm.
And then to actually share how you feel. Now, of course, based on nonverbal communication, that I know I've studied in detail, you should really say, I feel this way when you do that, right? And look for the other person's needs. But what I've found is when you're in this beautiful space of love, it doesn't matter how you say it. You could say, it really sucks what you're doing, and the other person will go, I love you. Because you're in this sweet space, and it's not so critical that you get it right and say, because it takes a long time for us to really say things, learn how to say things cleanly, because it's rampant in the way people use language. It's just not that way. And so we get entrained into this blaming thing, which,
Well,
by the way, you can't do with sound. You can't do
you can't
blaming
blame.
with sound. You have to point, right?
Beautiful. Well, I wanted to share this little story because I just watched this documentary 2 nights ago on Desi and Lucy.
I saw it too. I just saw it too.
Oh my gosh.
It's so great.
It's such a great documentary.
Yeah, yeah.
And what was profound that connects to what you just said is that they had an amazing creative experience together in a relationship that was a lifetime relationship. They couldn't ultimately be together as man and wife. But even in the last days of Desi's life, Lucy went and sat with him, and they watched I Love Lucy reruns, and they laughed and they cried. And right before he passed, she called him, and all she said was, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. And he said, I love you. That's all there is. And I thought that was so beautiful. It's like, relationships are not necessarily perfect. They don't always end up with the happy ending forever and ever. But that said it all. At the end of the day, it's I love you.
Yeah. It's I've had this happen quite a few times where in a relationship I'll go to the higher self and I'll see like their soul and higher self, and there's just complete unconditional love no matter what, because it's such a precious being.
That's right.
Right? Now they may suck on the 3D level, right? But it doesn't matter because you see that little child, you see that essence of their soul. And so it makes me think, okay, how do we get to that place with another being?
Well, we have to really get to know ourselves,
Mm.
our sense of self-discovery and openness to growing and learning in our own self-love and openness to love. I think that is the foundation of a quality experience or relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's a whole component of emotional intelligence, right? I mean, what does emotional intelligence really mean?
Well, emotional intelligence is your emotional wisdom. It's the wisdom that you carry around emotions. It's your capacity to engage and relate to another human being empathetically. Often we're good at it with pets,
Hmm. Hmm.
but it's harder for, certain people to translate that into another human being. It's more threatening. You feel more vulnerable. But that capacity for empathy, for listening, for understanding, that allows you to become more and more emotionally intelligent. And then emotional intelligence is really about creating something meaningful with another person. So that commitment to the emotional journey that's healthy, that's wise, that feels like it's boosting you up rather than draining your energy. That's emotional intelligence.
It seems, I just did my presentation and on really stepping out of the emotions and being a stable, consistent vibration of you, of your own point of awareness, of your own being, your own body, even, and really tuning into that stability instead of being on the emotional roller coaster. And often think of that as emotional intelligence because you're not riding the roller coaster, you're
That's it.
watching it. And then you
You're in
can actually,
observation.
I'm sorry?
You're in observation.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah, so then there's no emotions around the communication. But it's interesting. Okay, so this is really the deal. Uh, it's like you don't want to shut down your emotions. Do you want to just totally be uh, 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 logical and discuss emotions from a logical viewpoint, which is really much safer? But some people, sometimes women, not always, sometimes men, not always, are more, they're in the more right brain and doing the flow thing and spiraling around and really, just talking about feelings, which is beautiful, right? And then there's the other side, of course, the masculine, which is like da 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 equals da 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 da. What's your problem?
Mathematical.
Right? Which can be cool because, if we're going to work out how the dishes should be done or who's going to do what work in the house, it's a negotiation of actual mathematics in a way. It is technically.
Well, you can learn from each other. That's the beauty of relationships, is you can learn from each other. It's not one way is the right way.
Mm-hmm.
It's learning. It's like we're given a certain perspective on emotions and relationship because it feels relevant for us. Now, we may have a lot to know and grow into in that way, but the other person has an equal amount of value to their perspective. It may be wrong, but there is value to their perspective, and you have to be willing to be curious and investigate how you can grow from one another in your perspectives.
I've got a thing that I came up with that is kind of an ideal, but it doesn't. It's actually really good, but I think we might have to advance to a little higher Maybe it's not. It's not that hard. It's the when someone says something critical of you, or there's I see it. There's four ways you can take it. You can say, "I think you're right. Can you help me with that?" It's not your job, but I would love help. I'll work on that. And that's a lot of people can't do that,
Oh, yes.
right? And then
Criticism is a very intense trigger for many human beings.
I just thought, wouldn't it be great if you trust others, especially your partner, enough that you go, thank you for that feedback. Thank you. You're right. Or I don't know about that. Let me think about it and I'll get back to you. Right?
Yes.
Or number three, I don't think that's true for me. Right? I've checked this one out. I don't think that's really the truth for me. Or the fourth, which is common, it's like, F you, you do it too.
Well, that's very common.
Right, right.
Or it's a very quick, you can't take in the criticism. You move really quickly to say, well, this is what you do. Because it hurts too much to
Right.
feel criticized.
Mm,
Um, and I think that, you know, there's a difference between criticism and um, advice and
hmm.
mentorship. They're very different qualities.
The tone of the voice is totally the difference.
It is. And so the lower mind, the lower consciousness is a critic. You know, I never listen to critics. I really don't. I don't listen to movie critics. I just, because I know that they're not going to see things the way I see them.
Mhm.
But I will listen to an advice. I will listen to mentorship. And I think that that is very valuable to kind of create a distinction in a relationship of advice versus criticism, and the power that either can do to either harm or propel your relationship forward.
Yeah. Ideally, if you can be in a still place, consistent, stable vibration, then you look at the criticism as to maybe there's some truth behind that. Even though it's said critically, and I need to protect my little child. I got a fragile little child. I might need to protect it, but maybe there's something there.
Sure.
That's really, I mean, ideal, which is again all back to being stable and whole on your own.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Your own basically autonomy in love, which is your connection to your soul, yourself, your higher self, your heart, your body, your mind, that you feel connected,
nice.
that you feel, I appreciate all of myself. And that's
Nice.
it might seem difficult, but it actually is attainable.
Yeah.
Quite
Well,
attainable.
in sound healing, there's two ways we talk about it. One is to teach people how to access universal love. And a lot of people, when you say, okay, just run universal love, they look at you like you got two heads, right? Right? It's like most people don't know how to access that. And once you
Right.
learn to access it, there's no neediness.
Right.
And you're much more whole. But the simple version is just send love to your own heart. We'll try it later. We'll try it. Okay,
Absolutely.
so you talk about relational discernment, developing that. What is that?
So discernment is in the relationship area is really having a curiosity to really see how you make decisions, how you um, get up during the day, what time you get up during the day, like what do you do first, how do you engage in your life, and how do you engage with the people that matter to you or other people in the world. You know, we often don't realize that we miss out on great opportunities because we have these blinders on that we've self created. They've been created by us, but we don't see that opportunity. So we don't know to look over here and go, ah, wow, I could do that. I could I could go that direction. I could have this experience today. And so relationship discernment is really the art of getting to know how and why you make decisions, and getting better and better at your relationship decisions, that you're not acting from a place of your blind spots, from your emotional triggers. It's like you calm those things down. Like you were saying, going back to still point, you calm that overactive emotional mental patterning down enough to get out of your own way and make really positive decisions about love.
I love it. So it's like really being aware of your intention throughout the day.
Yes.
Yeah, like your intention could be you want something, you need something, or your intention could be complete harmony. Or like I was watching a video on uh, uh, a random kindness.
Mm,
Your intention could be, I'm secretly going to send love to everybody today, especially
beautiful.
my love. I'm going to sneak it in,
I
right?
love it.
Right. And then all of a sudden it's completely different than, oh, I need, I really want to actually hang out tonight or do something tonight with you. And let me see if I can figure out how to convince you to do it. Right? Instead, it's like, I'm just going to send love to you and see what happens.
I think that's beautiful. And, intentionality is used so powerfully in mindfulness, mindfulness living. I like to really gear people towards mindfulness relationships. It's like, and that's about discerning who could possibly be with you on a mindfulness relationship journey. But even if you are in a relationship and it doesn't feel quite mindful enough for you, it's like you can lead with just developing your own mindfulness. That often just really has a fully beneficial effect on the whole environment.
So if you're flowing in love, flow is like a smooth song playing, right? You're flowing in love, and there's two smooth songs flowing, and then they hit a little problem area. Isn't it a little weird to come out of that flow and think of a skill and a technique to actually get it to flow again? Or is that what you need to do? It's like maybe you do need to come out of it and use techniques to actually get things flowing again.
Well,
Or would it be just like I know some people they're just going to run love, keep running love, even though it's falling apart.
I'm looking at your piano there, David. And I know that you have a lot of skill underneath all of the work that you do around sound. So you may be at this incredibly organic wizard stage right now, but there was a lot of skill and practice and technique that went under all of that, right?
Yeah, it's a little learning curve getting there too.
Exactly. So what we do is we build our skills every day so that when the time comes to be in a special, loving, appreciative, affectionate, intimate space, we're there. So it's just
Right.
very fluid. It's very organic. For instance, I start my days with a practice called Fit for Love, Qigong. I studied Qigong for many years. I taught Qigong for many years with some amazing people. And so the process is really to open the body and open the heart to love with very gentle movement and sound. So I use sound with my movement in the early morning to open my heart, to open my lungs, to open my liver, spleen, pancreas, kidneys, to love. And you the flow that comes from that is absolutely amazing. So that when I am with someone, I feel just the fullness of flow and love and related activity that's very easy for me. So that's just one thing. You can connect to that through sound, through the work
Mhm.
of sound and emotion.
Could use music, you could use nature. Oh my God,
Exactly.
there's a million things you can do. Yoga.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. The key is that you give yourself the moments, even if it's 5 to 10 minutes, you give yourself those moments to connect to your own love, your own ability to love, and then allow it to flow.
I love it. It's really the core part is if you can run love and then come to a relationship with that energy, that's the deal. I had this woman I was in a relationship years ago, and she goes, "Don't come to this relationship unless you're filled with love."
Beautiful.
I'm like, "Can you say that a little sweeter?" But she was, yeah, totally right, right. It's like because when you are bringing, it's like two vesica, it's two circles that create the vesica-piscis, right?
Yes.
Two whole beings full of love coming together is light years better than a partial being needing love.
Well, right. And I think that, um, sometimes love seems so unattainable. And we think, oh, if I just met that right person, like I could just get that over with, that part over with, and then I would be there. I'm in love. Then I can be that. And that feels like a barrier to entry of love. But in actuality, it is the starting point is prior to that. It's prior, it's filling, it's allowing yourself to be in the juice of love as much as possible. That is the attractor field
Nice,
that
nice.
attracts um, to you all kinds of benefits.
Okay, so you get it flowing. How can you keep it going? That intimacy and how can you have it thrive in your life?
Well, I just celebrated my 16th wedding anniversary this week. And I'll tell you, because my husband and I share emotional intelligence, we find that as just this very, it's like this highway for all kinds of beautiful experiences to have. Um, and we'll find ourselves not planning it, but talking all night. And it could be about self growth. It could be about, something that we're interested or curious in. It could be about nature. We find ourselves just, wow, this expanded experience of our relationship over 8 hours. And this has happened to us many times. And what I will say is that you can too have that experience. You have to open up to it. You have to cultivate your emotional intelligence, your wisdom. You have to act from a place of relationship discernment, making smarter and smarter decisions about relationship interactions, about the relationships that you choose to spend your time in. And you really have to allow yourself to do the hard work of advancing um, from unconscious behavior to mindfulness habits, from being around toxic relationships to only choosing relationships that are going to lift you up. So, this is how you bring a thriving love experience into your life. It's really attainable. You just have to commit to it, just like learning the piano, learning a skill that will serve you the rest of your life. And I have had so many people in different industries, because I speak to different industries, say to me, the number one skill that has made me reach a certain and attain certain success is my capacity for relationships, my
Nice.
ability to be astute and skilled at relationships. So it translates into every area of your life.
So I've got one um, uh, topping on this that is really cool with sound. Um, and that is when you're kissing, tone any vowel in each other's mouth. while kissing. Oh my God. It's really kind of hard to do because you immediately start cracking up, right? And then you get good at it. And I've done it for like, 45 minutes. It's like you start
Mm.
finding their resonant frequency of their mouth, and it's hard to tell where the sound's
Mm.
coming from. Then you go off pitch a little bit and you create binaural beats, and you start doing frequency sweeps together while kissing.
How fun.
Oh my God. Oh my God. It is so cool. As well as doing sound on each chakra, right? I mean, there's nothing better than having someone sending love with their lips right on your heart, sending the sound of
Beautiful.
love right into your heart. It's like, oh my God. Oh my God.
Well,
Right?
and it connects to your innate vibration. Your vibration and the sound really helps to amplify your happiness, your aura field. That's really beautiful.
It's interesting because, we find a person's natural rhythm, their actual frequency by playing each of the 12 notes and seeing which one makes you the most peaceful. And everybody's a little different, slower, faster metabolism. And I've found when people are the same metabolism rate, average of the heart rate and brainwave, there's instant chemistry.
Hmm.
And so you could even have a dating site like that.
You could, David.
Yeah, a musical fifth interval works pretty well, I found as well. Okay, so what about dating? I mean, it's kind of a mess these days since nobody's going out or hasn't been going out. It's opening up now, though, right?
It is. It is. Well, I've been a part of the dating industry for over 10 years. And so I will tell you, actually, dating was at an all-time high over the last couple of years.
Oh,
All time. When everybody was sequestered, people were online connecting.
hmm.
And there were a lot of people that met and formed relationships, which was terrific. And now people are getting to go back out and start seeing each other in person. What I would say, my advice to those who really want to date and date online is that I would research the top 20 or so dating sites that seem like of interest to you. And I would look at their pros and cons. You can find a lot of data on dating sites these days. I would ask your friends for their experience on certain dating sites that you like. And I would post a profile. I think it's really valuable. I always say, if you want to date, and even if you want to date and meet somebody in person, post a profile on a good dating site, and you'll be amazed that somebody will call you out of the blue and say, "Oh, I have a friend I want you to meet," or someone just shows up in your life on Facebook or Instagram. It's amazing how often this happens. So put up a post, a profile on a dating site, and I would say, my husband and I met over the phone. I had never seen a picture of him. He lived in a different state. And people get so hung up on pictures. And I had a founder of one of the top dating sites say to me, so many more people that would be excellent for each other pass each other by because of a picture. And I've seen that and I know that to be true. So, what I would encourage you to do is read energy, read vibration, read and look out for tone of voice in what they say in their profiles and how they speak. Um, Read the heart. Look for the things that are not apparent. That is going to serve you so, so well. And usually you can, in about 3 engagements with someone, you will get to have a good sense of who that person is. And then you can start to move forward into, getting to know them better. But that would be my recommendation, is to really start to get out there, but utilize your your other senses other than your visual sense to get a read on a particular potential partner.
So, any other tools that you haven't mentioned that could help in any challenges or
Absolutely.
conflicts?
So the relationship AI iOS app that I have developed is really excellent at helping you track relationship activity, particularly at this moment, single activity. So if you're single and you want to make notes on people who you're meeting online, or you want to evaluate certain characteristics and keep track of that, that is an excellent tool. It's free. And we're developing it out for even more and more usage right now. So I highly encourage people to use the Relationship AI app. Love TV, lovetv.co is a content platform where you can get all kinds of content on any subject that you might be dealing with around relationships, wellness, and sex. It would be very helpful as a library for you. And thirdly, I have a couple of ebooks that would be very beneficial if you are looking to learn more about sexual intimacy. And that's 1,000 Years of Sexual Wisdom, and another one called Intimate Wisdom, The Sacred Art of Love.
Cool. I came up with a design on Excel that I've used for years. A lot of people don't like it because they think it's too calculating just because it's Excel, but it's really, I'm just using it to organize the columns, right? So, and what I do is I put in there all the things that are really important for me in a relationship. And I put the ones at the very top, that are deal breakers. And there's only about, 5, maybe 7 of deal breakers right at the top. And then all the rest of the things that I would like, but they're not deal breakers. That's like luck, whether you get, a nice percentage of those. I mean, you want probably at least 50%, maybe. But if the deal breakers are happening, I mean, that's like a big deal, right? And so then you put in the next column how important on a scale of 1 to 10 each one of those are to you, right? And so you categorize them by how important they are. And then on the third column, you actually have the other person do the exact same. And then the third column is you see where those line up between you and where they don't. And it's really cool because when I've done it with someone, it's like, oh, well, we don't quite line up here, but that's cool. We're a little different here, right? Well, look at this, or look at all these that line up. Whoa, that's why how lucky are we, right? And it's a very cool thing. So when problems come up, you go, oh, that's one of those areas. We're not going to ever be perfect together in the same vibration in those areas.
Well, David, you basically describe what we created in technology. So you actually don't need your spreadsheet anymore. You need Relationship AI, because you can do all of that in very quick swipes, and you get to keep track of it in real time, and you get to see everyone and all their data that you have and how well you're progressing, and then you can share it with the person that you're engaged with, and you can also share it if you need some extra advice with friends and family, and then their advice is stored in there.
Perfect.
So you have, I mean, you're a relationship geek like me. So I love what you just said.
Cool. Well, again, when you really get down to it, the whole thing is self-love, right? If you don't love yourself, it's going to cause problems throughout, because you're just looking for places where people point out that you don't love yourself.
Right. And it's that, it's very easy to turn on or off that switch. You said earlier, some of our greatest problems and the things that drive us to despair and worse, is relationships. We can turn that voice on positively or turn it off negatively. And so what self-love self-love is something that's cultivated. It is not something that we innately have access to until we give ourselves the permission and the openness to receive it.
Unless you
And
had like
so
amazing parents that were like actually completely loving sometimes.
that's true, but even in those cases, it depends on the individual, because you could get some negative self-talk at school or other places that
Mm-hmm.
can kind of mold and shape the way you feel about yourself.
Right.
So you just have to learn to cultivate your own self-love, and it is absolutely possible. You are ultimately perfect.
Can we do a little self-love with sound?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So tune in to your own heart, and we're going to send a really sweet, loving, soft sound. You can do any sound you like. You can't do it wrong. It's always perfect. Any sound you like. Send this really sweet sound to your own heart and hug yourself at the same time. Everybody listening too. Okay. Any sound. Here's another one that's really good. Say I love you to yourself over and over and over. I love you. 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 Thank you so much for your work, your time, and all that you shared.
Thank you so much, David, for this offering. And it's really beautiful work.